By combining a few less conventional techniques and ingredients, we can get very chewy brownies with a glossy, papery top, plus a strong, milky, almost marshmallowy flavor from the key ingredient, sweetened condensed milk. Get the oven heating to 325 Fahrenheit, 160 C convection if you've got it. I'm using a 9-inch square pan, 23 centimeters. You could go a little smaller. And these are very sticky brownies, so I recommend a parchment paper sling to get them out. It'll sit flatter in the pan if you just snip each corner diagonally a little bit. There, good enough. The weight of the batter will hold it down. A little pot on the stove, and in goes a whole stick of butter, half a cup, 113 grams, and turn the heat on medium. I'm not a member of the browned butter cult. It's not one of my favorite flavors, but it works exceptionally well with the condensed milk here. First you melt it, then you boil out the water. Butter is 15 or 20% water. Boiling it out will allow us to brown the milk solids in here. Oh, a tiny whisk is extremely useful for this recipe. When the bubbling changes to fizzing and popping and foaming, you want to make sure that you're stirring. If you don't, the milk solids will sink to the bottom of the pan and stick, and then they won't be in our batter. We want them. When the butter smells kind of like caramel and you can see it just turning brown, in goes half a cup of cocoa powder, 50 grams. I'm using Dutch cocoa. That's the dark kind that's in Oreos, but you could use any cocoa powder you want. And when it's whisked in smooth, let it boil in there for a minute. This step intensifies the flavor of the cocoa a bit. I can smell it toasting a little now, and I don't want it to burn, so off the heat this comes. We're done with the heat. Time to whisk in an entire 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, about 400 grams. Make sure you get the sweetened kind. The syrup in here makes these brownies very moist and chewy, and there goes the lid. Whoops. Next, 1 cup, 120 grams of powdered sugar. Got to be powdered sugar if you want that papery skin on this particular recipe. You will still see some little particles that won't dissolve. Those are the browned butter solids. Those aren't a problem. A big lug of vanilla, a couple of teaspoons, pinch of salt, only if you used unsalted butter. And then this is optional, but a little glug of molasses makes the flavor more complex. Far too sticky to measure out a teaspoon or two. I just drip a little out of the bottle. That gets you the flavor of brown sugar because brown sugar is just sugar plus molasses. Then 1 solitary egg yolk. The sugar and everything has lowered the temperature in here plenty, so it's not going to scramble. No egg white at all. That would make these brownies more cakey. And I've not tried it, but I bet a spoon of instant espresso powder would be a nice flavor in here as well. Once everything is smooth, it's time for flour. Just 3/4 of a cup, 160 grams all-purpose flour. Whisk that in smooth, plus any nuts if you want those. If you want solid chocolate chips, set the pan aside and let it cool a bit before you stir them in, or they will just melt instantly into the batter. No good. Chilling those chips in the freezer helps to prevent that, and I'll do a cup at most. A wooden spoon is now pretty much the only thing strong enough to handle a batter rich and sticky as Honey, which is the sponsor of this video. Let's thank them. Honey is a free browser extension that helps you to save money whenever you're shopping online. Whether it's tech and gaming sites, groceries, clothes, yes, even my favorite guilty pleasure delivery meal, you just go to pay, and then Honey pops up and tests a bunch of promo codes that it knows. If it finds one, you save money. And if it doesn't find one, it can still save you money. Like I was buying that microscope camera you've been seeing me use lately. No codes, but I was able to earn Honey Gold on the purchase. That's coupon points I can put toward other stuff. Those of you who've already installed Honey using my link have found over $31,000 in savings. You want to get in on that? Hit my link in the description. It takes 2 clicks to install. Joinhoney.com/Ragusia. Thank you, Honey. Scrape that honey bowl clean. You know, I bet peanut butter chips would be great with the milky flavor of these brownies. I would not try to smooth this out with a spoon. You might never get it back. You can try thumping the pan to get it even, but just don't worry about it. It'll melt to an even layer in the oven. This takes up to 40 minutes for me in there, but every pan and every oven is different. Seriously, different pan materials will cook brownies way faster than others. Look, within 5 minutes you can see the skin forming. The convection fan helps with that, but that's also why we need the heat a little lower. At 350 Fahrenheit, I find it starts burning. After 20 minutes, the toothpick or skewer test shows us we're nowhere close. Super gooey. You can do that test with a knife, by the way. Here we are after about 30 minutes, and if you like your brownies really fudgy, pull them at this stage when the skewer still comes out a little muddy. If you like them chewier, keep baking. This is 35 minutes, not totally clean. Those will be a hair fudgy. I'm pulling them. And they're molten now, so you gotta let them cool for at least a little bit. This is an hour later, and you can just lift them out with the paper. Beautiful crackly skin on those. I have been investigating the science of that skin and how exactly you can make sure that your brownies will have it. I believe that I've cracked the code, not just for this crazy recipe, but for any brownie recipe. I will reveal that code on Monday. If you're watching this in the distant future, it'll be linked in the description. Those are chewier than any scratch-made brownie I have ever had, with a really cool caramelized milk flavor. And here's a batch without any chocolate chips in them. I think I prefer those. The more they sit around after you've baked them, the more candy-like that top gets. You see that one? That is the thick and cakey version of this recipe. Same basic deal. You just use the whole egg, a full cup of flour, and a teaspoon of baking powder. Both recipes are in the description. I'm honestly really excited about this one. It took me a lot of versions, but these are my first home-baked brownies that I think beat the boxed ones. Let me know if it works as well for you.